G'day hobbyists, this is going to be a quick video talking about Star Saga, the new sci-fi dungeon crawler from Mantic Games, and got it off Kickstarter recently. I'm going to go through what I'm working on, how I'm painting it, what I've already finished, as well as some of the other stuff you could use the miniatures for, and a few tips and a bit of info about the game, and hope you enjoy it. Okay, so here we have the Aberration. Now, I figured I'd start off by showing you something big, impressive, and scary, but he's still a work in progress. He's, the way Mantic paints him, they've got the back plates and the sort of chest and shoulders all as just solid, continuous bony plates. I decided to change that a bit and have it look a bit like a mix of muscle and bone, like there's sort of muscle giving way to bone and muscle and bone interlocking or overlapping. And I figured that was a good way to tone down the overwhelming amount of bone that's on the model, and sort of not have it just look like discrete separate segments, but a sort of more natural growth or mix. And still looks pretty impressive how he's got like massive sort of bony plates, like sort of covering around his head and belly and shoulders and that, and the ever important rear. But now it looks like there's sort of muscle growing over, under, and around the plates, sort of pulling and moving them, which is sort of what you need. And I'm sure it'll look better when he's done, but showing you that one as a whip. And another one that's a large model that's sort of in progress is the Chova Space Squid, or Alien Computer Brain Squid. Now he's still a while off. His skin's mostly done. Just looks a little bit dark now, because it's a dark purple skin he's got, and I've only done metal besides that. Once I do bright stuff, eyes, computers and stuff, I'm sure he'll look a bit nicer. And someone else that's still in progress is Blaine. Blaine, he's got dark grey armor, just some red highlights that I've only base coated, so you can't quite see all the highlights and stuff yet. The skin's coming along nicely. Got to do the sword as well. But, yeah, he's work in progress. So, these are the plague victims. Now, like the Aberration, the bony plates that are sort of, by Mantic just painted as whole, discrete bony plates, I've sort of made them look more like a blending into the bone and stuff of the muscle and bone of the miniature. There's some sort of plates you can see on the stomach, and the collarbone, you can sort of see those parts, and some of the back plates. But otherwise it looks like there's more muscle, and the sort of plates and muscle, again, sort of muscle giving way to bone and overlapping and interlocking. And I figured that, again, makes it look a bit more natural and less like just discrete segments. It's a little trickier to paint, but I just use dry brushing, a little bit of base coating, washing, more dry brushing, and then a little bit of highlighting, pick out the bone after I'd base coated, washed, and dry brushed the flesh, and then just picking out, highlighting and layering the cloth and other details. Didn't want to spend too much time because these are, just the regular foot jerks on the board. Well, the plague are some of the tough minions on the board, but they're no characters or heroes, villains or whatever. Here we have the GCPS Rangers. Now they're sort of going down the scale of minions. They're not as dangerous as the plague, you might say, but they do have weapons. So we've got the GCPS Ranger with a flamer, and just a regular GCPS Ranger. Now what I did with these guys, I decided to go with black armor, green fatigues, because I like the scheme. I didn't like the red and black scheme that Mantic had. I didn't look very tactical or camouflage, so I figured this would look a bit better. And the pouches on these guys are khaki pouches, which I figured would sort of suit them, look more tactical. And you might be wondering, why aren't they black pouches? Well, I wanted to add more colour to the models. That's the great thing about the goggles, or the visors, the blue, the silver, and the pouches add even more colour with their sort of orangish khaki look. And, yeah, and then I sort of figured that whoever makes the armour didn't make the pouches. Maybe another company makes the pouches and they make them all in this slightly orange-tinged khaki material. I sort of wanted to look a bit like that material that work boots or work gloves are sometimes made out of. But I guess I went a little too hard on the khaki highlights, so you don't really see any orange look to it. At least not unless you're looking closely. Moving down, further down the scale of minions, we have the GCPS Marines. It's the same color scheme as the Rangers, because I also wanted to use these guys to make a GCPS army. I've got the sort of starter box and a Strider, and I'm going to round it out with some of these Star Saga minis to give myself a small GCPS army. And this was the first guy I did as a bit of a test concept mini. So you can see he's got a bit of detailing done. He's got shoulder marking there. And he's also got some initials on his back or something. And now, I didn't want to do that for every miniature because time and effort. Anyhow, moving further down, well, actually I should probably mention while we've got the GCPS out, Captain Erica Delinsky. So she's had more time and effort done on her paint jobs. As you can see, the face looks pretty nice, the hair, the weapon looks a bit more custom, sort of different weapons, got that sort of steel bit, and the sort of sight, which I figure is some sort of premiere or custom sight which got herself, because she's like a retired GCPS, and I don't know how many people know this, but in reading books like American Sniper, he mentions that a lot of soldiers sometimes buy or supply their own equipment, and I figured this would be no different in the Warpath universe, so I figured she's used her sort of larger pay packet as a captain or whatever to buy fancier, better weapons, different sights. And you might also notice her gloves and boots are a different color to the regular GCPS. They're that sort of khaki style gloves and boots rather than the black ones. And for the regular guys, I just left the boots and gloves black. But her, I figured, again, captain, more money, buys some better custom equipment. Probably bought some very nice combat gloves and boots that actually fit. Because that's another complaint I've heard before. That's stuff never fits or isn't the right size. So she's got some very nice custom weaponry and equipment, I guess, as captain. Sort of helps her stick out. And I'll probably use her as a character or a squad leader for my GCPS army. Anyhow, off the mercs and back onto the minions, and moving down the sort of scale of minions, we've got the security guards. These security guards, again, I didn't do them the way Mantic sort of their paint scheme did, so I had to mix it up a little bit. They've got blue uniforms, black weaponry, equipment and boots. I black undercoat my guys, so it was quite easy to just go over the black with a bit of grey for the highlights. And the blue, I just dry brushed, well, I base coated, dry brushed, and washed the blue. Then I picked out the black again and highlighted the black. Picked out the skin, details, hair, and gold badges and rank stripes. The sort of shoulder, what do you call them, lapels or whatever? The shoulder lapels, lapels? The shoulder panels, they're black, so I figured they're black, different to the rest of the uniform, and have the gold pipes on them. And then you got the badges and the gold tag on the front. I figured that's a name tag, and I didn't want to do this freehand because that'd be really tricky and wouldn't really stand out, but I figured, because they're like some high-end corporate security, that's a name tag with a golden name tag and black writing up close, so you know who's who if in the workforce. But not too tactical looking. And again, I would like to have it more gritty and realistic, but that would it wouldn't be as fancy, it wouldn't stand out as much. And these are they're security, not tactical Marines or Rangers. And I also thought they could double as police in other games or other sort of settings. And they do look very police-like with the gold and blue, so that works. And then you got the high-tech green eyepieces to make them look more sci-fi rather than modern, because you could easily think those are modern SMGs and uniforms. Anyhow, moving on from them to their boss, Guard Commander Graves. So he turned out pretty well. He's got his funky bionic arm, big one, and he's got a bit of a big head and big physique and nice custom body armor that the other poor security guys do not have. Also looks like he's had a bit more to eat than some of the other guys with his big chin and head. But yeah, pretty impressive looking character. Sort of washed a bit of grey on the back of his head there, so it looks like he's close shaved head. And his pistol, he's not carrying an SMG, he's carrying a nice shiny pistol, probably custom or something, with what looks like some completely covering handguard. And he's also got the badge on his hat, so it looks quite nice and stands out. And so that's sort of all the minions I've done so far. Moving on to other works in progress, we've got Lucas Coiner, who he's just had grey done on the white sections of his uniform. And the other lab techs are works in progress. So they've I'm almost done with the white on the 6th of them. They've just got 2 more guys to do the white, and then I'll be picking out the metal, the black, the yellow, the skin and that. Get them going. I've always been a black undercoater, that's sort of what I do. Okay, well, I've already seen Galinsky, so I might as well see some of the other mercenaries. Start with a really cute little white one. Kirby, the utility robot. He doesn't have too many colors. He's white, black, steel, and red and blue. So he sort of blends in with the environment a bit. But that suits me fine. That suits him fine. You could argue it's camouflage for the environment that he's going to be in. Got a little funky eye. And his arms don't come like that. His arms are actually a little bit bent. But I kind of liked it, and I even did the eye, so it looks like he's looking at what he's doing with his arms. So I'm going to keep it, not going to bend the arm back to the pose they show on the book and box and everything. Ogun Helkar. Now I have an army of Forge Father. So here we have some of my Forge Father with the same sort of scheme, because I wanted to use Ogun as a artificer for my Forge Father army, and you can see the sort of design. That's the sort of helmet, given the beard plates orange and brown cloth and straps and ties, and the black and steel weapons and brass ammo to just make it stand out a bit. Also kit bash a little bit. This is one of my sort of unit leaders with a Blood Bowl head and GW axe and some other bits to make it look more sci-fi. Ogun's got blue armor. He's got blue armor, orange highlights and details. Like he's got some orange eye lenses. I'll push him a bit closer. Orange lenses, orange on the force field generator, black and steel weapons, brown cloth, and some red for technical pipes and canisters and brass ammo on the revolver there. So he'd definitely fit in with my Forge Father as an artificer. And that's something you can do with these miniatures, use them in other game systems or for other armies. Okay, another alien, Elise, the alien vampire. Yeah, it's a little tricky trying to pick out her eyes, and I couldn't really decide a good eye color, so I just gave her black eyes with white sort of pupils, and it's a bit hard to see. But otherwise, she's fine, just for a board game, and honestly, she wasn't one of my favorite characters. I was more interested in Delinsky and Ogun Helkar for using in my other armies. Another alien, we've got Wrath. So I actually quite liked Wrath. It was an interesting color scheme, all that turquoise and stuff. Might need to tilt this up a bit so we can get his big sword, fit his sword in. There you go, Ogun, Wrath, he's got, the nice regal sort of golden and turquoise and bit of brown to sort of simplify it. I didn't want to do black because there's already a fair bit of black and it doesn't stick out that much. So his armor was just a bit of painful layering and blending and stuff, and picking out amongst all the plates the gold and details. And not sure if you can see his eyes too closely, but his eyes are red. In the artwork they're blue. I mean, in the artwork they're yellow. I didn't want to go to that much effort. But, so that's Wrath. And then we have the last human I'm going to show you, Selvaggio, also known as the Devil. Now, Mantic painted him a little differently. They painted the gun black with a bit more like freehand striping and stuff. I'm not much for freehand. I need to practice that more. I would have liked to have done some striping in that, but I decided to go with steel, orange on the fuel tank for the flamer, and red for, I don't know, maybe some ignition chamber or heating unit. I don't know. And the front end, you might see, looks like it's a bit burnt out. The sort of browns and black washes, and you can see a little light blue tip on the end of the flamer. And then his armor is grey, blue fatigues, black equipment patch with some clearly dangerous-looking red tubes, which I assume are explosives of some sort. And you can see it looks a little bit glossy. That's again the varnish we're saying. But I gave the mercenaries, I gave them a coat of matte varnish over the glossy varnish to fix that up a bit. So that's him. And as I was saying about Delinsky, I'm going to use her in my GCPS. Yeah, that's something I wanted to do. Use Delinsky and the GCPS for my GCPS army, and I wanted to use Ogun here in some of my Forge Father army. And the bases look a little different, but it's a sci-fi setting, so it won't be a big deal. And I figure if I get bored of Star Saga, I can always put a bit of sand over the base and make it look like they're in the battlefield rather than in a lab again. Now, there were a few issues I ran into. Obviously, the varnish, it's a sort of a gloss finish. I use this matte varnish just because, you know, quick and easy. But for characters and stuff I like, I really want to use more of and sort of make it look nice. I use a bit of this Vallejo matte varnish, paint it on, and that dulls down the gloss. Yeah, and other issues. The plastic's a little soft, so you have to use hot water and bend it back. There seemed to be a little bit of an issue with my undercoat. I used Rust-Oleum Black undercoat, which is a paint and primer, and some of the miniatures had a bit of a glossy finish on that paint, and it was really sticky and rubbed off easily. I don't know why that was. It was only some of the miniatures, not all of them, and I sprayed them in batches. But covering over that sticky finish with regular paint seemed to fix that, although some bits were still prone to wearing off, so that's why I had double varnish, basically, with the spray on and then the paint on varnish. It's a real pain, but, you know, you want them to last. And they were sort of, the affected models were sort of rubbing off, paint was rubbing off while I was painting them, and it was really annoying. But that's all sorted out now. Other things I probably could have done, should have done, head swaps. They're easier than they sound. I didn't want to take the time and effort. Just want to have these guys done for board games sort of quickly. But using them in the army, you know, splitting up into squads makes that a bit less noticeable. That there you got 3 guys with the same pose or 2 guys with the same pose. So that's that. And otherwise, if I was going to take more time and effort for them, I probably would have done head swaps. And I've got the GCPS faction starter with more heads I could have swapped around with. Might have even done some weapon changes or pose changes with hot water or cut kit bashing. I probably also really should have gotten the resin ones, better detail, better quality material, the sort of board game PVC plastic or whatever. I'm not a big fan of. Definitely prefer the hard plastic hips for their other Mantic kits, which are great stuff, by the way. Any other stuff I probably could have done or should have done different? Oh, that's about it. Those are my thoughts. Played a few games with some friends. Great fun game. Yeah, and definitely worth picking up if you're interested in Star Saga, and probably do some videos on how to paint it in future. Thanks for watching.